Right.
Okay, I'll start with Ronnie Williams.
Let's go all the way up. That's it.
Okay, are you Ronnie Williams?
Yes.
Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Ronnie Jerome Williams, file number 22-01451FY. Council appearance, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sartz IV, Assistant Public Defender, appearing on behalf of Mr. Williams for this appearance and this appearance only. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, today's the date that's set for an arraignment. I have before me a felony complaint. It alleges that on or about March 12, 2022, at the area of North Pennsylvania and East Saginaw, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of operating while intoxicated. It alleges that you did operate a vehicle upon a highway, that being North Pennsylvania Avenue, while under the influence of alcoholic liquor or having an alcohol content of 0.08 grams or more per 100 milliliters of blood. This is contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 257.6251. It states here, this offense resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. It's a misdemeanor with the maximum penalty being 93 days in jail and or $100 to $500 in fines and or 360 hours of community service, rehabilitative programs, vehicle immobilization is mandatory with a prior, and there's also a cost of prosecution reimbursement to the government for emergency response and expenses for prosecuting the defendant. There's a third offense notice, which enhances this to a felony. It says, take notice that the defendant was previously convicted of operating impaired on or about July 9, 2001 in the 54A District Court, and of operating while intoxicated on or about November 4, 2003 in the 54A District Court. Therefore, upon conviction, the defendant will be subject to an enhanced sentence under Michigan Compiled Law 257.6259 or MCL 257.62511, and the vehicle is subject to forfeiture under MCL 257.625N. That makes this a felony, maximum penalty $500 to $5,000, and either 1 to 5 years or probation with 30 days to 1 year in jail, at least 48 hours to be served consecutively, and 60 to 180 days of community service. Rehabilitative programs can be ordered, as well as costs of prosecution, reimbursement to the government for emergency response, and expenses for prosecuting the defendant. And there's a mandatory vehicle immobilization of not less than 1 year or more than 3 years under the law. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty associated with the charge, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to be represented by counsel. You have representation today for the purposes of your arraignment only by way of Mr. Starks from the Office of the Public Defender. But you have the right to have an attorney with you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. And you have the right, if you cannot afford to hire an attorney, to request to have court-appointed counsel appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, and respectfully on behalf of Mr. Williams, we would request the court enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. And Mr. Williams, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to be represented by counsel and have counsel present at all stages of the criminal prosecution, but also if you are going to be questioned by law enforcement, You have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination in this matter, and you have the right to have that within 21 days of your arraignment. At the time of your examination, you have the right to have the prosecution meet their burden of probable cause. So they would have to establish that there is sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you as the defendant who committed the crime. Do you understand your right so far, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
If this matter is to proceed beyond the preliminary examination date, you have the right to proceed to trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. You have the right to question or cross-examine any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further a defense to the charge. And then you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge being brought against you, and they have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any questions about your rights at this time, sir?
No, no.
What's your home address?
1401 Roselawn Avenue, Lansing, Michigan, 48915.
Are you currently employed?
No, I draw SSDI.
Okay, and do you have a phone number, sir?
517-575-3211.
What's the last four digits of your phone number again?
3211.
Thank you. You're currently scheduled for preliminary examination before Judge Stacia Buchanan on August 18th, 2022 at 10 o'clock in the morning. You have a preliminary examination that's scheduled before Judge Buchanan. It's going to be on August 26th, 2022 at 2 p.m. Did you get a copy of those notices to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or parole?
No, I just, no.
Okay. You can address bond, Mr. Sartz.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just in the interest of clarity, unless I'm mistaken, he was being represented by Mr. Mataloni on case 22-00831 SD. And from what I can see in that file, which is pending before Judge Flores, he had a plea hearing and then he was scheduled for sentencing in September. So technically, he would still be out on bond at the time of this arraignment, based on what I'm reading here, if that information is accurate. Regardless, I'll still ask for the lowest possible bond for Mr. Williams. He is on disability. He has deep roots in the community. He's not a flight risk at all. These charges, while they're serious, of course, they still would fall under allegations that would relate more to public safety as opposed to allegations of violence. These are, potentially a longer process here with felony charges if the matter gets bound over. If he's unable to post his bond, and obviously financially he has very limited means, he might be stuck in jail for an extended period of time. He is, of course, presumed innocent. These are just allegations at this stage. This goes back to apparently, allegedly around March of last year, if I'm reading the file correctly. So this has been out there for an extended period of time. Regardless, I would ask for the lowest possible bond for him, especially given his age and potential health risks if he's lodged for an extended period. Thank you.
September 12th.
Your Honor, may I speak, please?
He was arraigned You can, but I'm gonna re-advise you that you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, and anything you put in writing can be used against you. And so with that in mind, if you want to waive your right to remain silent and address the court, you can do so at this time.
Oh, it was just, I just wanted to, bring it to your attention that I haven't had my medications since last night. I was supposed to take it last night and today, and I haven't been able to get in touch with anybody. It's at my home, so.
But you
I
understand what,
haven't-
sir, you understand what's happening this afternoon, correct? You understand why we're here?
Yeah, I'm just, yes.
Okay, thank you. My apologies, Your Honor.
Okay, is it just that you want to make sure the court is aware that you need to have your medication?
Yeah, I'm trying to, see how I can, yeah.
Okay, we definitely want you to have your medication, sir. We just want to make sure that while you're here for this arraignment, you understand what's going on, you understand your rights at this time.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I did just check the other matter. He would not have been on bond when this matter was taking place, because this is the day the offense on this is from March 12, 2022. And it looks like he was arraigned on the matter that's pending before Flores in April of 22, so just about a month shy of that. However, this is being charged as a third offense, so I do want to say that I am going to grant a personal recognizance bond, but there is going to be some increased oversight because of the enhanced notice for the third offense. I am going to grant the request for a $1,500 personal recognizance bond. And the defendant is going to be required to test weekly through pretrial services. While on bond, sir, you're not to use, purchase, or possess any drugs or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You need to make sure you appear in court for all of your court dates. You need to appear on time. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. Again, urine analysis testing will be ordered weekly. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
I also want you. Let me see. Okay. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, ma'am.
Any additional
Thank you.
matters for the record?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. You're all set, sir.
Thank you.
No problem. Kevin Grayson. Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kevin Terrell Grayson in file number 22-02123 FY. Also appearance.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sarch IV, Assistant Public Defender, here on behalf of Mr. Grayson for this appearance and this appearance only.
Sounds good. Is this Mr. Kevin Grayson I'm speaking to, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Grayson, today's the date that's set for an arraignment. I have before me a felony complaint. It alleges that on or about August 9, 2022, at the area of Simkin and West Holmes, which is located in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly in count one commit the act of weapons carried concealed. It alleges that you did carry a dangerous weapon, to wit a pistol, concealed on or about your person, that this was done contrary to Michigan compiled law 750.227 as a felony, and the maximum penalty is 5 years and or $2,500 in fines. There's a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or the device required under the law. There's a count two of weapons, firearms possession by felon. It alleges that you did possess a firearm when ineligible to do so because you had been convicted of possession of a controlled substance less than 25 grams, which is a specified felony, and the requirements for regaining eligibility had not been met, contrary to Michigan compiled law 750.224F. That's a felony, and the maximum penalty is 5 years in prison and or $5,000 in fines. There's a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device required under the law. You understand the charge and the maximum penalty associated with that charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Grayson, you have the right to be represented by counsel. You're represented by Mr. Starks today for your arraignment only. Do you have the right to have an attorney with you at each stage of the criminal prosecution? And if you are questioned or interrogated by law enforcement, if you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can request to have an attorney appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Is he requesting court appointed counsel?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Grayson is interested in retaining Gidget James.
Okay,
Miss James informs me that she had been retained on another matter for Mr. Grayson. Not this specific matter, but I would expect, based on what Mr. Grayson told me this morning, that he'll follow up with Miss James and he'll get that all squared away. So at this time, respectfully, I'm not going to submit a request for a public defender on his behalf, but obviously, Mr. Grayson, if that situation changes, if things don't work out with Miss James, please contact our office immediately. We'll process you an application and we'll get you a public defender. Understood?
Understood.
Okay. Thank you. And Miss James sends her apologies, Your Honor. She had a personal matter. Otherwise, she would be here appearing on behalf of Mr. Grayson this afternoon.
okay. Is this a matter that's currently before the circuit court that she's representing you on, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Grayson, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty. You have the right to stand mute. You have the right to, in this matter, to proceed to a preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of preliminary examination, you have the right to have the prosecution meet their burden to establish sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you as the defendant who committed the crime. If this matter is to proceed beyond a preliminary examination, you have the right then to proceed to trial. And you have the right to have a jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. You have the right to question any witness that the prosecution calls. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further a defense. You have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge or the charges being brought against you at trial, and they have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand those rights, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, for the purposes of your arraignment, are you pleading not guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf at this time. You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward on August 19, 2022 at 8 o'clock in the morning. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Ward on Friday, August 26 at 9 o'clock in the morning. Did you get a notice to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
No, I actually had an interview this morning. I wasn't able to make it to, but I am currently enrolled in in the GED class. I have one test till I get my GED. And I have twin daughters expected to be born within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, congratulations on finishing your GED or almost finishing, and then congratulations on the twins.
I appreciate it.
What's your what is your home address?
3115 Risdale Ave.
And your phone number?
517-214-0733.
Okay. We have the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kevin Grayson, file number 18-01482. Mr. Grayson, you have a matter here from 2018. And you still owe a balance of $900.
Yeah, if I'm able
You were
to speak.
supposed to be making payments, and it doesn't look like any payments have been made.
Excuse me, I did make one payment on that, but they ended up putting it towards another case I had at the time. So it's kind of a mix up, but I wanted to set up a payment plan for that. I tried to call and do it, but I couldn't get through to anyone.
Give me your phone number again.
517-214-0733.
Okay, I'll refer this matter to collections and they can make a payment plan with you on that.
Okay. Appreciate it.
And then lastly, people of the state of Michigan versus Kevin Grayson, file number 21-000603 FH. This is the matter that is currently before the circuit court. However, you were given a pretrial release order by this court. Bond was set by me. And the allegation is that you violated the terms of your bond conditions, also called a PA 53 violation, because you were ordered not to commit any crime while released and not to possess or purchase a firearm or any other dangerous weapon while out on bond. And the allegation is that you have violated that. So there is a right to have a contested hearing on the bond violation. And you have the right to be represented by counsel on that violation. You are already represented by Ms. James on that matter. So the court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf, so that you can have an opportunity to be counseled by Ms. James as it relates to the bond violation. At the time of the hearing, if you're found guilty of violating your bond conditions set by this court, you are facing a contempt of court order, which is punishable with the maximum penalty of 93 days in jail and or fines and costs. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf of this violation. And we'll set it for a hearing.
Just to clarify, Your Honor, is that going to be sent up to circuit court for a hearing?
It will not, the bond violation hearings are held here.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
It's not letting. I'm just trying, is it under? It's under the board file, which we will bound over the. If it's not letting you email him a notice or send him a notice. And we'll have administration. look into it. These are, I think. Yeah. It should be 6:03. Two, I'm sorry, 21-000-603. Oh, that's the second part. Yeah. This is 1-7. Yeah, the couple. That's okay. All right, we'll have it set for hearing and we'll get the notice sent to you to the address that you provided. Mr. Sarch, you can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, Mr. Grayson's situation is somewhat complicated due to the other pending charges, and certainly that may restrict the available options in terms of bond. I would just respectfully request, Your Honor, that Your Honor consider the lowest possible bond for him, especially given the fact that he has twins on the way here. Certainly, he'd like to stay out work or at least try to find a job. He had an interview lined up this morning, apparently, but you know, he has a lot on his plate, certainly with twins on the way. He's not a flight risk at all. He has plenty of roots in the community. Certainly, he'll comply with all the court's orders and all the court's conditions. The last thing that he would want to do is end up back in jail with twins on the way very soon. As he's already mentioned to Your Honor, he completed his GED. He's been going to school and working on improving himself while those other cases were proceeding. And certainly he's presumed innocent of these latest allegations as well. So given the fact that he has strong local roots in the community, given that he's not a flight risk at all, given the fact that while these are just charges, they're allegations, they are on the lower side of the felony spectrum in terms of the underlying severity. There's no allegations of any violence or anything along those lines. Given the fact that it could be a very long process if the matter gets bound over, I would respectfully request the lowest possible bond for him, albeit it might not be a PR bond, certainly because of the other pending matters. Thank you.
defendant has currently had some actions pending before the circuit court, recently bound over from this court, which include allegations of carrying a concealed weapon, an assault, resisting obstructing an officer, and some other charges. He would have been out on bond and under bond conditions during the time of these allegations. And so if true, or found to be true, then that means that Mr. Grayson is not someone that follows court orders, but also based on the allegations and the circumstances and facts that was presented in the affidavit of probable cause, the court believes that there is a threat to the public safety. And because of that, a personal recognizance bond would not be warranted. Bond will be set in the amount of $5,000 cash surety with GPS tether. While out on bond, you're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol, drugs, or marijuana, plus you have a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to possess or purchase a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release from custody. Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
No, ma'am.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I said, no, ma'am.
Oh. Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Thank you, Your Honor. In terms of the show cause hearing, is there an interim bond available for that, for those proceedings at this time? If so, I would just ask for a very, very low cash bond. If Mr. Grayson's going to pay the 5,000, he would have to pay both most likely to get released.
As far as the show causes, I just ordered that they refer it to collections so he can make a payment plan.
Okay,
So,
including the PA 53 issue.
the PA 53, I'll issue a $500 personal recognizance bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're all set, sir. Anthony Davis. We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Anthony Tyrese Davis. File number is 22-02122. FY, counsel appearance.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sarts IV, Assistant Public Defender, here on behalf of Mr. Davis for this appearance and this appearance only.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, today's the date that's set for an arraignment. I have a felony complaint here. It alleges that on or about August 9, 2022, at the area of 200 East Cesar Chavez, located in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you allegedly in count 1 commit the act of assault with intent to rob while unarmed. It alleges that you did make an assault with force and violence upon a Victoria Hankins and or a Josie Brynick with intent to rob and steal, but not while armed with a dangerous weapon. This is contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.88. It's a felony and the maximum penalty is 15 years in prison and your DNA is to be taken upon arrest. Is a count 2 of a controlled substance, possession of cocaine, heroin, or another narcotic less than 25 grams. It alleges that you did knowingly or intentionally possess less than 25 grams of a mixture containing the controlled substance heroin, contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 333.740328B. That's a felony, and the maximum penalty is 4 years and/or $25,000. Do you understand the charges and the maximum penalty associated with each count, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and Mr. Sarge is here to represent you for your arraignment only. But you have the right to have an attorney with you at each stage of the criminal prosecution, and you have the right to be represented by counsel at any interrogation or questioning by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you can request to have an attorney appointed at the expense of the public. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, and respectfully, we request the court enter a plea of not guilty on his behalf. Thank you.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf, sir, and for your information, you have the right to plead guilty, you have the right to plead not guilty, and you have the right to stand mute. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination in this matter, and you have the right to have your examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of examination, you have the right to have the prosecution establish their burden of probable cause. So they need to bring sufficient evidence to show the court that there's sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you as a defendant who committed the crime. If this matter is then to proceed beyond a preliminary examination, you have the right to have a jury trial. And at the time of trial, you have the right then to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge or charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to implicate your guilt. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to question or cross-examine any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses and present evidence that you will believe to further a defense to the charge. Do you understand those rights, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Are you currently employed?
No, ma'am.
How do you support yourself?
No. Sorry.
Tired?
Yeah, I'm sick.
Okay. You're sick?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need someone to get you a mask while you're in the custody of the jail?
No, it's not that kind of sick.
Okay. How do you, I didn't hear your answer for how you are supporting yourself. Did you receive disability of any kind?
No. I do
Okay.
like various jobs and things around the area.
Okay. What's your home address?
3501 Simkin Drive. Apartment 11, Lansing, Michigan, 48910.
What's your phone number?
517-492-9445.
You're currently scheduled for a probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward on August 19, 2022 at 8 o'clock in the morning. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Ward on August 26th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear? Did you get a copy of your notice to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or parole?
Probation,
Before which court?
Eaton County,
Ingham County, which court?
Eaton County,
Eaton County, with the
Yeah.
circuit court or the district court?
District.
Okay, you can address bond, Mr. Starks.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just for the record, Mr. Davis also has a pending matter with our office down in Mason before Judge Allen. So from the best I can tell, he was on probation at the time of these allegations, which might somewhat limit the available options in terms of bond for him. But nevertheless, I'll still ask for a low cash bond for him. He's not a flight risk at all. He has plenty of roots in the community. He has a stable place to stay away from the complaining witness. At this time, these are just allegations at this point. He'll comply with the court's orders. He'll make sure that he reports to pretrial services, and the public safety concerns can be addressed through the use of perhaps a tether device or other options along those lines. I'm not sure what the status is out in Eaton County. Certainly that could complicate any efforts on his end to try to get released or his other matters. But nevertheless, with felony charges, it can be a very long process if he's unable to post his bond due to the delays with working through the cases up at that stage. So under the circumstances, he is indigent and unable to post a significant cash bond. So taking those matters in consideration, I would just ask for a low cash bond for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Although they find this indigency is not a matter that the court is prioritizing when it comes to posting a bond, my concerns are his appearance and his ability and willingness to follow court orders, and then the threat to public safety. And based on the circumstances and the allegations, including the fact that he is on probation at the time and has a pending matter before the 55th District Court, I'm not inclined to believe if the allegations are true that Mr. Davis is able to follow court orders. I also believe that there is a threat to the public safety, and so there will not be a personal recognizance bond granted. Bond will be set in the amount of $5,000 cash surety. There will be a no contact order as it relates to Victoria Marie Hankins. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever she lives, works, or goes to school. Do you understand that? I'm talking to you, Mr. Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, you're not to possess or purchase a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, stalk, threaten, or engage in other conduct that would place any of the following persons or child of the individual in a reasonable fear for bodily injury, that being a spouse or former spouse of yours, an individual with whom you have a child in common, or a resident or former resident of your household. You're not to have contact directly or indirectly or through a third party to Victoria Hankins. Also, while out on bond, you're not to purchase or possess any alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. You need to appear to all of your future court dates on time. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
I need this done over. They didn't put the no contact order as to the other alleged victim. There's also going to be a no contact order as it relates to a Josie Brynick. You're also not to be within 1,500 feet or wherever that alleged victim lives, works, or goes to school. And you're not to have contact directly or indirectly. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're all set, Mr. Davis. Thank you. Thank you. Mark Amery.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Mark Allen Amery. File number is 22-02125. SM, counsel appearance.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sarch IV, Assistant Public Defender, here on behalf of Mr. Amery for this appearance and this appearance only.
Thank you. Mr. Amery, I have a misdemeanor complaint here. It alleges that on or about August 9, 2022, at the area of 4916 South Cedar, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly in count one commit the act of larceny, $200 or more, but less than $1,000. It alleges that you did commit the offense of larceny by stealing cash that belonged to A1 Rentals, and the value of the property stolen was $200 or more, but less than $1,000. And that this was done contrary to Michigan Compile Law 750.3564A. It's a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty serves 1 year and or $2,000 in fines, or 3 times the value of the property stolen, whichever is greater. To impose a fine of 3 times the value, the defendant must either admit the amount or it must be determined by the trier of fact of trial, at trial. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty associated with the charge, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to be represented by counsel, and Mr. Starks is representing you today for the purposes of your arraignment only. But you have the right to have an attorney with you at each stage of the criminal prosecution, and you have the right, if you cannot afford to hire an attorney, to request to have court-appointed counsel appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, and respectfully, I would request that the court enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Okay, and Mr. Amery, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty. You have the right to stand mute. You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter. You have the right to have a jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge being brought against you, and they have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to question any witness the prosecution calls, and you have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence at trial that you believe would further defense to the charge. Do you understand those rights, sir?
Yes, I do.
And do you have any questions at this time about those rights?
Could you read them to me one more time, Your Honor?
Yes, you have the right to remain silent. Did you want me to repeat something specifically?
I just wanted to hear the part about where I had the right to remain silent.
Yes, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to be presumed innocent. You have the right to proceed to a trial, and you have the right to have a jury trial, sir. At the time of trial, you have the right to remain silent and not have the silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt in any way. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have the right to question any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses at trial and have evidence put forth any defense to the charge. And you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you're currently scheduled to have a pretrial before Judge Cynthia Ward on August 30th, 2022 at 2 p.m. Did you get a notice to appear before Judge Ward?
Believe so. I believe I have it here, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
are
I
you
do.
currently employed, sir?
I'm currently working landscaping and doing lawn care, but this week I was expecting a call from Bridgewater so I could actually go to work on a payroll. A friend of mine's got a job they're waiting for me. And
Okay, so-
I'm scared, by me being on parole and coming home from the penitentiary, I'm scheduled for Social Security benefits that should kick in at any moment.
Okay, so you're on parole at this time, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what's your home address?
My home address, my last address was West Lapeer, 513 West Lapeer, but I moved. I'm currently staying at I think it's 630 North Lodge, the homeless shelter downtown.
430 North Lodge, maybe?
I believe so, 430 North Lodge.
Okay, so you don't stay at this address on Lapeers that you just mentioned, correct?
No, I don't. That's where my mail is still going. I have yet to put in a mailing address change.
Okay, your mail can go to the address in Lapeer. Repeat that Lapeer address for me.
513 West Lapeer, Lansing, Michigan, 48933.
What's your phone number, sir?
Area code 517-525-0986. Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes, but
I
let me
know-
first remind you that you have the right to remain silent, and anything you say and anything that you put in writing can be used against you. And so if you want to waive that right to still say something to the court, you can do so.
You can continue, Your Honor.
Okay, if you have a question, you can ask your attorney privately. I can put you in a meeting room if necessary, but if you want to address the court, I don't want you to say anything that could be used against you.
Can I speak to my attorney privately, please? Because this is a shock to me, the charges that have been brought against.
Okay, well, give me just a moment while we address bond, and then we'll let that happen, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sark, do you know if he has a parole hold?
I would expect one to be forthcoming if one is not currently on the file. His max date is in 2023. So I would expect one will be coming from Lansing Parole.
You can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. Respectfully, Mr. Amery has a somewhat complicated situation here with the possibility of a parole hold. Further, Your Honor, it's really important that he get a CMH CATS referral before it gets released. He may also have some matters pending in some other courts related to his current situation. And in the interest of confidentiality, I won't get any further along those lines. But at this time, Your Honor, respectfully, I would request a low cash bond for him. From what I see in the notes, he also has a trespassing charge, which we should also get him arraigned on. With the possibility of a parole hold, he's on dead time if that's the case. If they do try to decide to pursue anything against him, the charge here is just a misdemeanor. And, and not to say it's not a serious charge, of course it is, but by scope and comparison, it's a lot less severe than certainly a felony or other matters. If there's no allegations of any violence related to these charges, he's going to have a somewhat complicated situation though with the parole board due to this type of allegation, and he still has a little time left on his tail. So under those circumstances, I would respectfully request a low cash bond for him. If he's able to post that, then he can get out and he can start working again, and then hopefully he can get a stable place to stay. As he mentioned, he might be able to get some Social Security benefits on top of that, get a job if he is able to get out. I'm uncertain at this time when the parole board is going to take some further action against him. Thank you.
Could I request a PR bond on this, Miss,
It's
Your
Judge
Honor.
Simmons. It's Judge Simmons.
Miss Judge Simmons, I apologize. If there's any way I could request a PR.
Let me also address this other file that I have here. People of the City of Lansing versus Mark Allen Amery. This is file number 19-04704. And in this matter, Mr. Amery, you received a citation, misdemeanor citation for trespass on the property of another, which allegedly occurred back on November 19th, 2019 at 4:15 in the morning in the area of 3222 South King Boulevard at or near West Holmes Road, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan. You did appear for your arraignment on that matter. However, you were set for a pretrial and you failed to appear. So this matter has been in warrant status for a couple of years now. For that reason, in addition to the other concerns the court has, which is that you are likely will have a parole hold, but you're going to be referred to community mental health for a CATS evaluation. A personal recognizance bond is not appropriate. And so I'm going to
Can I
deny
say
your
something?
request for,
Can
I
I say
can't say something,
something?
you cannot say something while I'm talking, but I'll
I
give you an
apologize.
opportunity when I'm not talking, okay? And so the request for a personal recognizance bond will be denied for those reasons. You are going to be referred to community mental health for CATS, and then due to the court's belief that you will not likely return to court on your own recognizance because we have another misdemeanor that's been pending in warrant status for at least 2.5 years. The bond will be set in this matter.
Can I say something, Ms. Simmons?
We
Please,
just-
ma'am.
we literally just addressed that you can't say something while I'm talking. Because
Okay,
you're
I
breaking my
apologize.
train of thought, but that I would give you an opportunity to speak or ask any
Yeah.
questions
Yes.
once I'm done. Thank you. Bond will be set in the amount of 2,010% on file number 22-02125. On file number 19-047040M. Your address, I think, on that was for 601 North Larch. However, you say you're receiving your mail to 513 West Lapeer. We'll note that here on the file. That will
Thank
be set for a pretrial. You're gonna have a pretrial on that before Judge Cynthia Ward. That's gonna be on August 29th at 10 a.m., okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And my apologies, Your Honor. What's the bond going to be on that file?
That one is gonna be $500, 10%.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can I speak now, Ms. Simmons?
You may.
On that trespassing charge that they said I never appeared on, the whole story, I was at a laundromat, 4:30 in the morning doing my laundry. Police got called. I was outside smoking a cigarette.
I'm
Police
gonna stop
ordered
you.
my-
I'm gonna stop you, sir, because your rights to remain silent still apply
I know.
as it relates to that. So I don't want you to say
I-
anything that can be used against you. If you have any potential,
I don't have
defenses, you
anything to hide.
you should share
I've
that with
already-
your attorney, but you're getting into facts of the case. I'm not addressing that case. That case is not even assigned to me. The bond is gonna
Right.
be set as is.
Can I say something? Can I finish
Oh,
saying what I was
Miss-
saying? Because
Mr. Amery, let me talk to you about this privately, okay? Because if
Yes.
you have a possible defense, I'll note that for your attorney, and you can litigate that out. You're presumed innocent of those charges. Do not say anything further about the allegations here. Thank you.
yes, sir. Am I gonna be able to talk to you, attorney, before I
Yeah,
leave here?
as soon as he's finished arraignments, he can talk to you, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, do you have any other questions for the court?
No, thank you. No.
All right, thank you. You're all set, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. Curtis Biggs. Is it Cortez?
Yeah, Cortez.
That's two.
Yeah,
Okay. But there was a little typo on that. Okay, it should be Cortez. People of the state of Michigan versus Cortez Biggs, file number 22-01929, council appearance.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sarge IV, Assistant Public Defender, here on behalf of Mr. Biggs for this appearance and this appearance only.
Okay, Mr. Biggs. I have here a misdemeanor complaint. It states or alleges that on or about June 22nd, 2022, at the area of 4245 West Jolly Road, lot 270 in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, you did allegedly in count one commit the act of domestic violence. It alleges that you made an assault or an assault and battery upon a Deanna Parker, an individual with whom you had a dating relationship, and that this was done contrary to Michigan compiled law 750.812. Restitution is possible as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's personal property or physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor and the maximum penalty is 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. You understand the charge and the maximum penalty there, sir?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have the right to be represented by counsel, and Mr. Sarge is representing you today for the purposes of your arraignment. You have the right to have an attorney with you at each stage of the criminal prosecution process and at any time that you are questioned or interrogated by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can request to have court-appointed counsel appointed at the expense of the public. You understand your rights as relate to counsel.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. And respectfully, we would request that the court enter a plea of not guilty on his behalf. Thank you.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Mr. Biggs, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty. You have the right to stand mute. You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter, and you have a right to a jury trial at the time of trial. You have the right to remain silent, not have silence be used to implicate or prove your guilt. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to question any witness the prosecution calls. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further defense to the charge. You have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge against you, and they have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand those rights, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You're currently scheduled for a pretrial before Judge Cynthia Ward, August 30th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. Did you get a notice to appear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
No, ma'am, not right now at the moment, but I start tomorrow at 5 o'clock for EMT.
You said EMZ,
EMT.
EMT.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's your home address, sir?
5722 Barron Drive.
Your phone number?
517-515-9968.
Sorry, sir, could you repeat that again?
Yes, sir. 57, wait, you said my phone number?
Yes.
517-515-9968.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sarch, you can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. Respectfully, I would request a personal recognizance bond on behalf of Mr. Biggs. To the best of my knowledge and from what I can see, he doesn't have any active holds or any other pending matters, at least before this court. I'm checking with our system here, and I don't see anything pending through our office anyway. He has a stable place to stay away from the complaining witness here. He will comply with all the court's orders. He's not a flight risk. As he just explained to Your Honor, he has a job that he's starting tomorrow at 5 o'clock. He will be able to successfully stay away from the complaining witness. To the best of my knowledge, his job isn't within the hot zone or near where the complaining witness would be staying or living or working. And from what I can see, his background would suggest that he would be eligible for a personal recognizance bond. Thank you.
I don't see anything else on his criminal history. I'll grant the request for personal recognizance bond. It looks like this incident allegedly occurred a few months ago. I don't think there's an immediate threat to the public safety. Bond will be set in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. While out on bond, sir, there's a no contact order in place. You are not to have any contact directly or indirectly with Deanna Parker. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand what indirectly means?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that means you can't have a third party make any contact on your behalf. You're not to assault, harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, or threaten Miss Deanna Parker. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever she lives, wherever she works, or wherever she goes to school. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You need to make sure you appear to all of your future court dates on time. Do you have any questions about your bond at this time, sir?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, sir. Jamie Soto. And we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jamie Jesus Soto. File number is 21-00036 SM. Can I have your appearance, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sarch IV, Assistant Public Defender, here on behalf of Mr. Soto for this appearance and this appearance only.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Today's the date that's set for an arraignment, and I have a misdemeanor complaint. It alleges that on or about December 21st, 2021, at 827 Kwood in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly in count one commit the act of domestic violence. It alleges that you made an assault or an assault and battery upon a Sierra Medina, an individual with whom you had a child in common, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.812. There is possible restitution as this offense resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor and the maximum penalty is 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. You understand the charge and the maximum penalty associated with the charge, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right, thank you. You have the right to be represented by counsel. Mr. Sarge is representing you today for your arraignment only, but you have the right to have an attorney with you, whether you are being questioned or examined by law enforcement, or you have the right to have an attorney at each stage of the criminal prosecution. If you cannot afford to hire or retain your own attorney, you can request to have an attorney appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, and respectfully, we request that the court enter a plea of not guilty on his behalf. Thank you.
Court will enter a plea of not guilty. Mr. Soto, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty, and then you have the right to stand mute. You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter. You have the right to a jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to remain silent, not have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. You have the right to be presumed innocent at trial until proven guilty. You have the right to question any witness the prosecution calls, and you have the right to call your own witness or witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further a defense to the charge. You have the right at trial to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge being brought against you, and they have to prove each of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about those rights at this time?
No, ma'am.
You're currently scheduled for a pretrial conference before Judge Michael Anthony Flores. It's going to be on Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 9 o'clock in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice
Yes,
to
ma'am.
appear? For
Yes,
Judge
ma'am.
Flores? Okay, thank you. Are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you employed, sir?
Domino's,
What's your home address?
827 Haywood.
Does Sierra Medina live there?
No, ma'am.
What's your phone number?
830-202-4531.
Are you currently on probation or parole?
No, ma'am.
You can address bond, Mr. Sarks.
Thank you, Your Honor. Respectfully, I would ask for a personal recognizance bond on behalf of Mr. Soto. Mr. Soto might have had some struggles in the past, but he's learned a lot from those experiences. He understands the importance of complying with all the court orders. And he does have a good local job in the area. He works for Domino's as a cook. It's not a flight risk at all. These are allegations, obviously, at this stage. And while they relate to allegations of violence, this is on this is 93 variant, so no allegations of any serious injuries or no allegations of a weapon or anything along those lines. He will be able to comply with the no contact order. She has long since moved away from the area, according to Mr. Soto. And under the circumstances, I would request a personal recognizance bond on his behalf. He's not a flight risk at all, and he'll make sure he complies with all the court's orders. Thank you.
Thank you. I've reviewed his prior criminal history. He has no violent convictions. Allegedly occurred back in December 2021. I don't believe that there's an immediate threat to the public safety. Note, I believe that there is a flight risk, so I will grant the request for personal recognizance bond in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. While out on bond, Mr. Soto, there is a no contact order for Sierra Medina. You're not to be in contact with Sierra Medina directly or indirectly. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand what indirectly means?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever Miss Medina lives, wherever she works, or wherever she goes to school. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol, marijuana, or controlled substance that you do not have a valid prescription for. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You need to appear in court for all of your future court dates. Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any additional matters for the record? Well, I think he has another matter. Let's see. Yes. Okay, Mr. Soto, I have here. People of the state of Michigan versus Jamie Soto, file number 19-05088. There is a balance of $900 that's owed on this. Actually, there's been a penalty assessed. There's a balance of $1,134.25 that you owe on this. You've not made any payments on this matter. This is a matter that you pled guilty to count 2 of operating while intoxicated back on March 3rd, 2020. When are you going to make a payment on this, sir?
As soon as I can figure out myself how to set in a payment plan,
As soon as you can figure out what?
how to do the payment plan.
Okay.
How I
Have
can
you
set
spoken
it
with
up.
anyone from, have you spoken with anyone from corrections already?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Give me your phone number again.
830-202-4531.
Okay. I'm going to refer you to collections on that matter so that you can get on a payment plan. Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, you're all set, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ahmad Muhammad.
Yes.
Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the city of Lansing versus Ahmad Muhammad, file number 20-03553 OT, council appearance.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sarch IV, Assistant Public Defender, here on behalf of Mr. Muhammad for this appearance and this appearance only.
Thank you. And Mr. Muhammad, today was the date that was set for an arraignment. You have 2 files here, but the first file, the driving while license is suspended that you failed to appear for arraignment on back in December 2020. So this has been in warrant status for quite some time. Looks like you received a citation that alleges that on December 3rd, 2020 at approximately 9:21 p.m. The area is South Martin Luther King Boulevard at or near West Hillcrest in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan. It alleges that you drove or allegedly drove while your license was either suspended, revoked, or denied. It looks like you also would have received a failure to yield, excuse me, accident citation. That was a civil infraction, so when you failed to appear, there was a default judgment entered. So on the driving while license is suspended, you have the right to proceed to a trial in that matter. The maximum penalty is 92 days in jail and or $500 in fines. You have the right to be represented by counsel. You cannot afford to hire an attorney. You can request to have an attorney represent you at the expense of the public. You have the right to have a jury trial, and you have the right to have an attorney represent you at that jury trial. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to question or cross-examine any of the witnesses that they intend to call. And you have the right to call your own witness or present evidence at trial that you believe would further defense. You understand those rights, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. And respectfully, we would request the court enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. Thank you.
Okay, I will enter a plea of not guilty on his behalf. Mr. Muhammad, you have a pre-trial before Judge Cynthia Ward. It's going to be on Monday, August 29, 2022 at 9:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear for your pre-trial?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you also have a matter that's in collections. It's people of the state of Michigan versus Ahmad Muhammad. File number in this one is 17-00842FY. And in this matter, you owe a balance of $1,160. It appears you have not made a payment on this since 2019. What's your plan on making your payments on this?
Well, I can start back paying those payments, but I thought the last time I made a payment was the last one.
Are you currently employed, sir?
No, ma'am, I'm a disability.
What's your home address?
4245 West Jolly Road, lot 231. 48911 zip code.
Is that a 1-2 or a 4-2, sir?
4245 West Jolly Road, lot
Thank you.
231. Welcome.
You said 231 is the block?
Lot, it was the lot 231. It's the house.
Lot 231?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your phone number?
It's 517-803-1183.
Did you serve 93 days on this? Did you serve
Excuse me?
93 days in this? Did Judge Clark sentence you to serve 93 days Ingham County Jail in 2017 on this?
On that, what I'm owed the money on? Yes.
Yeah, it looks like you were on probation on this. This is a domestic violence. I believe you pled guilty to a DV second, but let me double check. No, you pled guilty to a DV first, back in March 2017. It looks like you were placed on probation. You had multiple violations. You were not successful. But I see that his last note indicated that you pled guilty to violation and that you were sent to serve 93 days Ingham County Jail. And when I'm looking at the money that you owe, I don't see anything for restitution.
What do you?
Okay. Are you planning, you thought you were making payments on this? Is that what you said?
No, I was making payments only, and the last time that I make the payment, I thought that was the last one that I had to pay. They didn't tell me, they gave me a receipt and everything.
Well, I don't know how you thought that, because our records reflect that you made a payment of $100 back on November 10th, 2019. That you still had a balance of $1,160.
Well, is it all right if I could start it back paying it?
Yeah, I'm gonna refer you to collections. However, I'm going to waive some of these. I don't see restitution, and there's been some penalties added on this. Since you did serve 93 days on this, I think these fines are a bit excessive. Let's see.
There's something in the rain on that.
Okay, I'm gonna waive $500 in fines on this, plus the 20% late fee that was assessed on this. You still are gonna have to pay your crime victim rights and state minimum costs that you owed on this matter. I'll refer the balance to collection, and they'll contact you about what you owe after that, after they remove those fines, and you can make a payment plan with them, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As to the driving while license is suspended, bond will be set at $200 personal recognizance. You need to make sure you appear for all your future court dates on time, okay, sir?
Okay, I had a question there. I didn't get arraigned on I had a traffic ticket in Mason. Will I get arraigned here for it, or I have to go out there?
You'll get arraigned in Mason for that. I don't have that traffic ticket. Okay, sir?
So I won't be getting out freely then? I won't be getting out of jail?
Sir, if they release you from this facility, just make sure you get down to Mason and turn yourself in down there. You do have an active warrant. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, hopefully hopefully Mason will be able to get you arraigned. I know they're doing arraignments earlier, but if you get released from today, make sure you get down to Mason and get that cleared up, okay?
All right, sir, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions today, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. Okay, and then last I have the Shandwell Chapman. Okay, can you pronounce your first name for me?
Shondell.
Shondell, thank you. That was another type of it. Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Shondell Julian Chapman. The file number is 22-00771. Council appearance.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacob Sarge IV, Assistant Public Defender, here on behalf of Mr. Chapman for this appearance and this appearance only.
Okay, Mr. Chapman, today was the date that was scheduled for an arraignment on a probation violation. It says you failed to appear before Judge Ward for your probation violation hearing. It looks like you were supposed to be before her back on July 28, 2022. Looks like you were arraigned on that violation back on July 14, 2022, and you would have been provided of your notice to appear. You're noted to be an absconder from her domestic violence court, and because of that, you're going to be remanded until you see Judge Ward, okay?
All right.
Now, you do have a hearing scheduled for the violation that you've already been arraigned on. That hearing is going to be reset for August 25th, 2022 at 2:30. It looks like when you were previously arraigned on the violation, you did not complete an application for court-appointed counsel. Are you requesting court-appointed counsel at this time, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, yes, Your Honor, and we'd request the court put a plea of not guilty in on his behalf. Thank you.
Not guilty plea was already entered at the time of his arraignment, and that will continue. He'll be set and see Judge Ward on August 25th at 2:30. I'll note here that he's requesting court-appointed counsel. He's already did an intake with you.
Yes, we have updated information and we'll make sure the applications are in on both files for him. Thank you.
Very good. Any additional matters for the record today?
My apologies, Your Honor. What was that time again?
It's at 2:30 p.m.
Thank you. Nothing further.
You have any questions? Mr. Chapman,
No, ma'am.
you're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sartz.
Your Honor, there was also another gentleman, Mr. Neil Palmer. Is he going to be arraigned tomorrow?
They didn't put him on my list, so I'm assuming that they set him or assume he's gonna be arraigned tomorrow. I have some 2:30 landlord tenants, so they're coming in right now.
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.